Good afternoon, everyone. Neil Richardson here. I am the privilege of chairing the board meeting today. So I would like to call the Clean Energy Development Board of the City of St. Louis quarterly, regularly scheduled board meeting that is being held via Zoom on November 13, 2024 at 3:10 to be called to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Director Van Dam,
Present.
Director Williams,
Present.
and Chair Richardson.
Present. Good. That we have a quorum. So the first item on the agenda for business today is the approval of the minutes of the August 14, 2024 quarterly board meeting that was also held via Zoom. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Seconded.
The motion in a second. Can I have a roll call vote?
Director Van Dam,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
and Chair Richardson.
Aye. With all present voting aye, the motion passes to approve the August 14, 2024 meeting minutes. I would like to also welcome Mr. Nigel Williams to the board. Thank you for being willing to join us on the Clean Energy Development Board. We look forward to having your contributions to the board and bringing your expertise and experience and talents to the work that we do. Director Williams, did you have any comments or thoughts before we get started?
Nothing really. Thank you all for including me. Looking forward to being a part of the board.
Awesome. Thank you again. So we have a few new business items on our agenda for today. The first is the Ameren Missouri Biz Savers program update. I'll pass it over to Miss Angela Gordon.
Thank you. I just wanted to provide an update to the status of the MIA filing. MIA stands for the Missouri Energy Efficiency Investment Act, which was passed in 2009, which allows for these programs to be offered and the utility to earn a return for the offering. These programs have been available in the city of St. Louis since 2008. Every 3 years, approximately every 3 years, the utilities file a new portfolio of programs. The current filing was actually filed early this year. It's for the period 2025 through 2027. But the non-unanimous stipulation and agreement that was filed on October 31st drastically reduces the size of these programs relative to what they were previously. In fact, for commercial buildings, which is what PACE serves in the city of St. Louis, what Set the Pace St. Louis supports, that budget has been reduced to $10 million per year, with $7 million allocated for incentive payouts. It eliminates incentives for lighting retrofits. So up until this year, if you were changing out your old fluorescent light fixtures for LED fixtures, you could get incentives for that. That will no longer be the case after this year. Basically, the primary budget for these incentives is for HVAC upgrades. There's some controls and some other custom measures that can earn incentives, but I think they're going to target HVAC equipment. However, the filing shows that the Biz Savers Energy Efficiency Program for commercial properties will end after 2026. You have a $10 million budget for 2025. $10 million for 2026, and then there's nothing for 2027 for the energy efficiency program. The demand response program, which is different from an energy efficiency program, does continue into 2027. This time, the PSC has not issued a final order approving the proposal. They're waiting for the commission staff to submit their recommendations. But based upon what we're seeing both here and across the state at Evergy, this looks like what we're going to have. They did send out an email yesterday saying that their 2024 budget has been committed at this time. All projects must be completed by the end of the year, and that they're working on rolling out 2025, which is what this will be. I began working on this program in 2008, and at that time the budget was for commercial businesses was $38 million a year. So you can see this is a significant reduction, and there is kind of an end in sight possibly. So does anybody have any questions about the Ameren Biz Savers program? Okay, the commission will issue an order by the end of the year, and the 2025 program will be rolled out beginning January 1. But because these are the same customers that use PACE, we encourage them to use the utility incentive programs, but these are going to be significantly smaller going forward, it looks like. So that's a shame for the market, but it is what it is.
Was there, Angela, was there any rationale as to why the annual budget was cut and why there's a plan to sunset the program after 2026?
There's various arguments, but from what was filed, they are moving from energy efficiency, which is the overall decrease of energy consumption, to demand response. And what demand response does is it shifts load during times of peak demand. So if we were to have a heat wave and there was a shortage of electricity, they would implement demand response programs to encourage participants, say, to turn down their thermostats 4 degrees, or to take certain lines off, certain production lines offline for a period of time. There's different kinds of demand response programs, but the demand response budget is many times higher than this. So it looks like it's a shift to demand response.
Understood.
Neil,
Thank
if
you.
I would just hop on that a little bit. This is not necessarily a solely Ameren decision, right? The Public Service Commission staff and the Office of Public Counsel over the last 12 months have been discussing their feelings, likes, dislikes of the efficiency program. And that is most likely what's driving the utilities, not just Ameren, but all the utilities to change their offerings.
Understood. Got it.
Any other questions, comments?
Okay. All right, well, thank you, Angela, for the presentation. This is not a resolution that we need to get passed, so just thank you for contributing today, and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda unless there's other comments. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move forward to our first resolution for today is resolution number 24 CEDB 04, proposed change to the PACE application processing fee. So I'll pass it over to the presenter to go through this resolution.
Josh, would you like to?
Yes, thank you, Neil. Thank you, Angela. So this is a change to our fee process. As we've talked through our past meetings, there has been an interest of us, the administrator, and you, the board, to try and find a way to support smaller projects, more community-based projects. And that takes a couple of things. It's not one switch that will solve that problem. And we have something later we'll present that we hope will be one more domino in the effect to doing that. So the first step here is we'd like to change our fee structure. We currently have a fee structure where any project under $1 million is charged 1.25%, and any project over $1 million is charged 1%, and that is capped at $40,000. So anything over a $4 million project, the fee does not go up. That is counterintuitive to trying to support smaller projects. And so the first thing that we would like to do is then create a flat fee of just 1%, no matter the size of the project, small or large, which will make it easier and have the overhead components of PACE be less of an issue for these smaller projects. Secondarily, what we are seeing trend nationally, as well as here in Missouri, is that the projects are getting bigger. And we do realize that our capped fee, when you look at the average of districts across the country, there are many districts have no cap whatsoever. And even those that do, the 40,000 is one of, if not the lowest, non-government subsidized fees in the country. Additionally, when you look at the fee structures for bonding agencies and financing agencies at the state government, around $80,000 is a common cap. And so we would, again, still not try and penalize these larger projects and have no cap. We'd like to then, to help balance things out, increase our cap from 40,000 to 80,000, while also removing the quarter point off of the lower projects. Those would be the combination proposal we have today. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Josh, do we have an average amount of, I guess, the loans that have been approved to date? Just to kind of get an idea of how many loans do we think will actually be impacted by these changes?
On both sides, the quarter
Yeah,
point.
I guess on the under 1 million, you know, I know we don't have a lot of those, but those projects is that, you know, do you have a ballpark figure that you can provide to the board?
The last Set the Pace project we did was Brandon View, and that was 7 million.
Mhm.
So that gives you an idea there. That was capped at 40,000.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple inquiries right now that are interest forms that are under 1 million.
Okay.
They still haven't committed to a specific lender, so we're still, we don't know if that's going to happen or not, but there have been inquiries under 1 million. I put stuff out, but most of them are around $3 million actually,
Okay.
truthfully.
Okay.
So
And then I guess the project, for example, that we just approved, that was 7 million. I mean, that's a $30,000 increase. I guess based off of what you're all seeing in the marketplace, would that impact their ability to move forward on these projects? Or are we going to still be competitive given some of the other programs that are out there if we change it to a cap of 80,000?
It's a great question. I think when you look at the interest rate and the legal costs that go into PACE versus other potential financing options, including the hoops that you'd have to do to go through those state programs, we are on the cap size the same as others. I can tell you from my conversation with capital providers, our fees are a drop in the bucket compared to what the property owner is seeing from the other parties, just legal and just the lender. So in that case, I don't believe that this will be an obstacle. Now, if we did not have a cap and you have these $35 million projects, I think, yes, then you're starting to see people question, like, why do you need a fee that large? And so that's why we had stuck at 80.
Makes sense.
just so you know, Atlanta's cap is like 110,000, I believe. Atlanta PACE,
Yeah.
their PACE program. So
Oh,
most don't have caps.
most don't have to have the other thing I apologize for not saying is, as MEI administers both the county and the statewide Show Me Pace program, this resolution will be made in each of those districts. So as far as Missouri goes across the state, you'll still be providing the lowest cost PACE opportunities. And the Illinois program, they have 3 different options, and I don't believe they're capped. And I know, like, as an example, Chicago, they're like, I think their application fee is twice as much, percentage wise.
I think one of the things that I would love to continue to have a conversation about, Josh, is kind of seeing how this plays out with the $80,000 cap, how that impacts the market, and if there are ways that, you know, we can continue to, you know, work to help build up the capacity of the PACE program through generating fees that ultimately help us become more successful as an entity as well. So I think the $80,000 makes sense as a first step in this kind of evaluating the impacts, and we can go up or down based on the feedback that we get from the partners that we work with.
We are not opposed to if getting significant pushback from consumers making an appropriate change, not at all. So we will continue to track that.
Great. Any other questions or comments from the directors here? Okay. Hearing none, I would like to entertain a motion to approve resolution number 24 CEDB 04.
Motion to move forward.
And I'll second that motion. Roll call vote, please.
Director Van Dam,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
and Chair Richardson.
Aye. With all present voting aye, the motion passes to approve resolution number 24 CEDB 04. The next item on the agenda is a program update. So pass it over for a quick update on where we stand as it relates to closed projects, pipeline, new lenders, and collections.
This is the collections, and as you'll see, we still have one delinquency outstanding that we have not collected from, but we did get full payment for the grocery store that we were waiting on. So Marinette collections are now up to 3.8 million. We're still waiting for the single outstanding assessment that was not made for the last 2 years. So that's what that delinquency is. But this is actually better. It's an improvement. And at this point, all collections are now being handled by a third party collector, a Marinette. So that's good. That makes it affordable for the city and the participants. Josh, do you have anything to add to this? You'll notice that the invoices for the 2024 assessments, which are due on December 31st of this year, did go out on October 31st, and I will be contacting each of the participants and making sure that they receive those invoices and that they don't have any problems with meeting the December 31st deadline. So things are moving forward nicely. You asked about the closed projects, and this will give you some idea. To date, we have invested $111 million through Set the Pace St. Louis in energy efficiency and renewable energy. 2022 was just an incredible record year. This year, like I said, the $7 million project was the Brandon View project. We do have a healthy pipeline, so we expect to have more completions in 2025. This was 19 projects, the $111 million invested. It was through 19 different locations. Some of those were multiple projects. For instance, Jefferson Arms was a hotel and a multifamily facility. So there's many different kinds of projects within this 19 projects. Does anybody have any questions about our closed projects to date?
Just a
Nope.
quick clarification question.
Sure.
The 19 projects, is that all the projects over the course of each of these years, or is that just what was happening in 2024? I may have missed that part.
No, that was the course of each of these years. 2024, we only closed one Set the Pace project so far, and that, like I said, was the Brandon View project. This since 2015, 19 projects have, at 19 addresses have closed.
Gotcha. Thank you for that.
Now, this is the pipeline, and project size varies in this pipeline from 350,000 to one that is in excess of 50 million. It's actually 60 million, but I didn't want to get you too excited. So, but early, I guess, look, a couple weeks ago, I think Neil asked me about, or someone asked me about the relative change of the pipeline. And you can see right now we have 12 projects for Set the Pace in the pipeline. 5 of them are lender driven, meaning they were submitted by capital providers, and 7 of them are market driven, meaning they're people who called and said, I'd like to do this project, but I don't know how to do it, but my banker or someone told me maybe Pace could help me. Got a lot of different kinds of projects in those seven projects. But you'll notice that in last quarter, if you look at last quarters, there were 8 projects in the pipeline. So we've actually had 4 new projects. We've gone from 36 million in lender driven to 121 million. Now, like I said, one of those is a really big project. The market driven has also increased. Those are typically the smaller projects, but it's gone from 15 million at the end of last quarter to 26 million in potential projects. Now, all of these will not pass. They will all not close, but some of them, definitely will come through in the next year. Okay. Any questions on this slide?
Nope, none here.
Okay. So one of the things that we're wanting to do right now is get ready for 2025. So I've developed a draft PACE marketing outreach plan, and we're trying to think of ways to expand understanding of PACE, because a lot of people think it's a private program only, and really PACE facilitates a public-private partnership. We have private funders, but we have public advocacy in order to help make these projects happen. So we collect the money through the special assessment, which is on the property. And so we want people to understand what PACE is. And so we've developed a couple of new projects or programs or campaigns, I guess, to expand awareness. And the first one is the Contractor Network relaunch. We've had a PACE Contractor Network, but it has not been active. And I've been in this position for a year, effective today. Today is my anniversary. I just realized that. I really did. But effective today, I've been here 1 year, and I haven't done anything with the Contractor Network, but we're going to relaunch it on January 1. And we're going to get those people that are actually working with businesses, those Missouri-based, St. Louis-based contractors, to become stakeholders in this program. And with that, hopefully we can get the word out about it. And for those participants that could use this program effectively, it hopefully will allow for a greater investment in renewable energy and energy efficiency and help the city reach some of their building performance goals. The second thing we're going to do is PACE Express. And I've got a completely separate slide on this, but PACE Express is a program targeting those small projects. We need to get more small projects involved in investing in clean energy and energy efficiency. And we hope through PACE Express, this will answer that need. Next, it's the 15th anniversary of the Missouri PACE Act. And as a mother, grandmother, wife, I just love a good anniversary. And so we're going to use that as a launching pad to create a discussion throughout the city about the availability of PACE, why the city has PACE, and what they've done over the last 15 years with PACE. So it seems like a good launch pad. We're going to continue with capital provider recruitment. We want to have more Missouri-based funders. We want Missouri money staying in Missouri would be great. So any ideas you have with that, but I have some ideas for outreach and discussions with providers, but any ideas, we welcome them. Regional Small Business Roundtable collaboration. We're going to work with the the Midwest Energy Efficiency Alliance. They have a gentleman in Missouri that is a circuit rider, and he goes around explaining building codes and the benefits of energy efficiency to businesses. We're going to work with him as partners and set up some roundtables at various, we're targeting the locations would be universities, simply because they have good meeting facilities, to get small businesses in to talk about energy efficiency, building codes, and how to fund it. And then finally, we have some general PACE program outreach and promotions that we plan to do in 2025. So this is being finalized now, and this will kind of be our roadmap for promotion of PACE going forward. And I want to talk about PACE Express, because PACE Express, I have to admit, this is entirely Josh's initiative. I've only been providing support, but when I started, he wanted to target the smaller businesses that just did not hear about PACE. And it's understandable. If you're a funder, you're going to be chasing the multi-million-dollar projects. But there is a place for the church that needs new air conditioning, or for the ice cream shop that can use some energy efficient refrigeration, or the gas station that wants to put a solar panel on their canopy. So that would kind of target these guys. So with PACE Express, we simplify and standardize the process. Traditional PACE, the lower limit's typically around $100,000, and there's no upper limit. It allows for new construction, retrofit, and retroactive projects. Projects can propose changes to the assessment contract. Significant changes to the contract must be approved by the Clean Energy Development Board. You guys have to approve those. Any approved PACE capital provider can participate. And the audits for these projects typically cost in excess of $10,000, which is a significant cost to a small business, especially if they're only going to be saving, $12,000 a year. They need to make it a little more cost effective. So PACE Express was developed for that purpose. It's going to be available to businesses or to business projects less than $800,000. Now they can do traditional PACE too, but if they want to do this streamlined version, it'd be $800,000 would be the cap. It's only for existing buildings, because for new construction, you have to model a building, and that just costs a lot more. So existing buildings, looking at the retrofit only. There would be a fixed assessment contract. There would be no negotiation of language. It would be the standard contract. It would only be available to standard projects. Standard projects are projects that have a loan to value ratio of less than 25% and a combined loan to value ratio less than 80%. So it has to fall into that standard requirement. At this time, we have one capital provider who has agreed to these terms, to these simplified applications. The Asset Environments is the engineering firm that has agreed to do audits, and they're capping the charge at $3,000. And the third-party servicer has agreed to reduce the onboarding fee from $100 to $75. We will continue to charge the 1%. However, that would be only the 1%. There would be no other charges associated with that. Does anybody have any questions about PACE Express versus traditional and how we think it will attract small business?
How much of a lead time adjustment are we talking about compared to traditional PACE?
Honestly, ideally, if everything comes in, there's no changes, there's no adjustments, we'd be looking at 7 days for a turnaround. 7 business days, I should say. Because we
So-
don't have all that negotiation and stuff. There's no changing the language or, I want the term to be something a little different. There's none of that.
Thank you.
To
Josh?
answer that, yeah, sorry, for the administration side on our side, we can probably actually do it quicker than the 7 days, but honestly, the issue that we're having that we're going to try and cut down on is the underwriting from the capital provider. The idea behind this was smaller projects require or expect quicker turnaround and lower overhead costs are needed, so they don't eat into a $150,000 project. We're able to handle the one end right now. We've got our fees down where we think we're below 7 to 9%, and folks around the country think that's probably the best bet that we can get right now. And then we are working with the capital provider to try and streamline their underwriting, and that will be dependent upon the application materials we receive. And so that'll be an evolving process. Right now, that's still going to be probably 30 days, and we're going to see if we can't decrease that. But that's unfortunately not in our hands.
Yeah, we can do it in 7 days or less, but what happens at their end as far as their due diligence isn't necessarily limited. But we just want to make it as affordable as possible for these smaller guys.
Nationally, what we see, and I think when we pitched you all, MEI being the administrator, we had identified areas of need, and the 3 areas of need, number 1 is having local community banks involved, which we've been in continuous talks with, yet not getting to where we want to. The second is smaller projects under $500,000, $800,000, which we believe the relaunch of the contractor program, the change of our fees, this particular program, in conjunction with continuing to work with community lenders, should address that. And the other is rural or tertiary communities, which the city of St. Louis isn't necessarily having to deal with. But we are doing that. We're doing this holistically across all 3 programs to help draw attention by both stakeholders, property owners, and capital providers of what Missouri's capable of doing and what we're interested in. And we hope that 2025 will be a good step forward to serve these underserved communities.
How does the St. Louis market look compared to the rest of the country, or maybe even like major markets or urban areas in terms of our small project to large project ratios? Are we in line? Are we sitting on, are we leaning heavier towards large projects? Do you have any insight into that?
The only information I can provide you right now is that small projects under 500,000 are few and far between anywhere in the country. Wisconsin has done some state-funded programs like Connecticut, where they have a green bank. Those have a little bit more because of the type of program they have. There are some areas in California that are able to do it, but in a lot of other areas in California, they can't because they have to bond every single project, no matter the size, and no one's going to bond a $130,000 roof replacement. So I can tell you right now that eyes are on Missouri, and are looking at what success we can have. This is something that many folks in our seats on the administrator side are very interested in, as we see, we're trying to, our clients are the capital providers, property owners, and the municipalities. And so we see these gaps created, and it's been hard. This program was first launched in Michigan, and they had, I think, a half a dozen projects, and then the capital providers started to fall off. They had about 4 capital providers interested, and then they started to fall off and haven't been able to fund any. So we've tried to copy as much as we can from there. And what we've done differently is select one capital provider and one contractor, the biggest costs related and the biggest moving pieces, to get their commitment, so we can't have anybody fall away, and that we know right up front what dollar amount we're telling people it's going to cost. So there's no guessing game going forward.
Is there any concerns with only having one participating capital provider if they were to decide to pull out of the program or something like that? Or is that a benefit for them to only have one to work with?
It's a benefit to them. They're taking a risk, right? The reason it's a gap is it costs the same amount of money to underwrite and finance a $150,000 project as it does a $10 million project. And so there's a risk on their end. And this particular lender was already open to doing these projects. And while there are a couple others, this group is very comfortable with it. And so we wanted to, we asked all of our lenders. It wasn't just us in a dark room trying to figure out who would fit. We asked all our lenders about this particular program and who was interested. And as I had mentioned earlier, the market is moving in the opposite direction. Most capital providers that we had originally, when we launched our first program, that said they would fund a $200,000 project, now have a minimum of $1 million. There are some that are up to a $5 million minimum. And so I'm
We have
less
one,
concerned.
we have one that's 10 million as a minimum.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there obviously is a risk everywhere, but this is the best response through our open and transparent process that we had. And I feel comfortable, at least for the next year, that we're good. And obviously, we're all going to reevaluate it. We'll bring it back to you this time next year, figure out if you all have any thoughts and insights. We'll be talking with you throughout 2025 about it. Our outreach, our partnerships, what's working, what's not working, to see if there's something that we can do better. And that obviously will include the capital provider.
and the goal is to roll this out on January 1. So January 1, we'll have Pace Express as an option on the website. And we'll do program publicity to get some awareness of it. But by having only one capital provider and one audit provider at this point, it should make the rollout at least a little bit easier. We won't have to coordinate anything there. So, okay.
Any other questions about this program?
Nothing from me.
Thank you. Thank you both.
And we
Okay.
do welcome recommendations, suggestions at any point. If you have an idea, feel free to share it, because we are in the developmental phase, of course. And keeping with our outreach, we have our next Midwest Energy Policy Series. Will take place in St. Louis this next month, on December 12th. As CEDB board members, you all will have a free admission to this, either virtual or in-person attendance. And Josh, you want to talk about this one a little bit? Or I can.
No, you're good. Sorry. My internet's bad at the house, so I'm using my phone now. So,
Okay.
yeah, so for those of you who don't know, MEI operates this series, the Midwest Energy Policy Series. This is the third one of the year. Now, we do one on energy efficiency, renewable energy, and then one on energy infrastructure. So this one on economic development is December 12th. It'll be at the IBEW 1 facility there in the city of St. Louis. Our agenda is really interesting. It will include a reflection off of the 2024 elections and what the impacts are on the energy sector from John Ashford. We will be talking about large users and AI's impact on the energy sector, and presenters there include Google, Polsinelli, and Ameren. We'll be talking about resource adequacy, which is the amount of power that we have available. As an example, Missouri used to export power, and in less than 12 months, that turned around to us importing power. And with the large demand of new industry, whether that be data centers or new high-tech facilities, the energy demand that we had 5 years ago is completely different than we have now. So how are we handling that? And that goes hand in hand with what Angela mentioned before on energy efficiency and demand response. So we have the Public Service Commission chairs from Michigan and Missouri and staff from the Kansas Commission coming to talk as there are some models in those states that Missouri is looking to adopt. We'll have DTE from Michigan and Evergy talking about how, as utilities, they are dealing with resource adequacy, how the policies that those other states implemented actually work, and what folks can see as far as what's the economic impact, benefit, negative, those type of things going forward. We are also having a session on what's called the Chevron Doctrine, which is a Supreme Court ruling on the Chevron Doctrine, which is the ability for federal administrative agencies to create rules based off of more expansive rules based off of narrow legislation. And so that is very likely to impact the EPA. Maybe not FERC and DOE and others, but definitely EPA, which would impact a number of things in the energy sector. And I think that's everything. So we'll be there for the day from about 8:30 until 3:30. Lunch is provided, so hopefully we'll have you there. As a side note, if you were not aware of these, so we do include PACE in our renewable energy efficiency event every year, and that one is held in April in Columbia. And I'm actually speaking in Kansas on PACE in 2 weeks about how our programs work. Kansas is looking to develop a program there. So,
But I'll be sending out the registration link if you'd like to attend.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Josh, for the invitation. Look forward to attending. The next item that we have is, I don't think there's any other items on open agenda today. Okay. Is the next regular scheduled board meeting is February 12th, 2025 at 3 p.m. We have which is the Q3 fiscal year board meeting, and then we also have the Q4 board meeting on May 14th, 2026, August 13th, and then also November 12th, 2025, our first meetings for our fiscal year 2026. So this was exciting to get us through calendar year 2024 at the Clean Energy Development Board. So I look forward to seeing this group in the new year if I don't see you at the session in December. So thank you all again for attending. With that, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
I'll be calling in favor as well. So with that, the motion to adjourn has been approved. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in 2025. Thank you.
So much.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.